we won't film you for an episode about commitment. Hey, Matt Haycox here, and today I'm with Paul Sullivan. He's a former contestant on The Apprentice, and he's now the CEO of the award-winning marketing agency BiasDigital. He's a blockchain expert as well, so looking forward to talking to him. Paul, thanks for joining us today.
How you doing, Matt?
Thanks. Yeah, great. Thanks, mate. Very good. Listen, obviously I gave you a brief introduction, but just can you flesh it out for us? Just give us 60 seconds on your career to date and what we need to know about you.
Yeah. So original background: 12 years investment banking, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, all the big investment banks. Was a contractor for pretty much a decade before moving up senior management. Flipped out of that because I like to do a lot of the technology stuff and they like me to be on the line. I'm very much more create the process rather than run the process type person, which then led me to jump out and go into an agency. So I've been working in an agency business for around the last 8 years, in fintech for probably the last 6 years. And we've just won a few awards, 3 in the last 2 years.
What specific kind of marketing are you doing?
So we do something called inbound marketing.
Okay.
And what we do is we comprehensively bring all of the channels together in one strategy. So you wouldn't hire us and then a social media strategist
Sure.
and then email. It's done.
So we work on well, I've used HubSpot,
Yep.
I've used Infusionsoft.
Yep.
Do you guys work with products like this?
Yeah, so we were a HubSpot agency partner for a long
Okay.
time, but we started to realise that whilst it's good if you just want to chase HubSpot partners, it's not good if you want to chase big business, because a lot of enterprise level companies, they're on Salesforce, Pardo, Marketo and things like this.
But do you still partner with any of those people, or are you
Yeah,
kind of product agnostic?
Yeah, we are product agnostic because we believe in providing the right solution to the right company and not trying to fit the company into our solution, because that doesn't work and produces bad end results. So hence the awards, I think.
Cool. Tell us a little bit about your time on The Apprentice. How long ago was that?
The Apprentice was 2016. I probably got listed as the most, was it angry or one of these angry, irritable contestants ever.
Oh, yeah?
I think I'm most well known for telling Alan Sugar where to go, which I didn't quite do, but in a funny way I did. I just said to him, well, if you don't agree with me, take it how you want to take it, and that was that.
How many weeks did you last? You know, I've actually never seen the show, so I don't really know how it works. I've seen clips here and there, but how does it work from week to week? I mean, did you last long?
Yeah, I got 2 weeks before the final 5, and I think at one point I was probably considered the strongest character, but people start to grate on me after a little while, and like the stupid decisions people make.
We'll wrap this up quick.
Yeah.
I don't want to wind you up.
Yeah. No, it is. I mean, the one thing that everyone forgets is, yes, it gives you this public profile, and it was kind of, well, I'll either win it or I'll use the rise in my profile to generate more business, and I did. But ultimately, I just found that it's the people in the process that you can't
And just talk about that specific bit. Obviously, you know, elevating your profile and then leveraging that, because that's a big part of these podcasts and a lot of the content I create in general. I mean, how much did it elevate your profile, and how did you go make use of that or monetize it thereafter?
Okay, so when I first came out of The Apprentice, I did a lot of talks in universities and local schools, but I think part of who I am, and coming from the East End especially, is that when you grow up in the East End, you're not really expected to do too much. You know, get maybe a blue collar job and be happy, you know, 2 kids and a wife or whatever. And I think that I was in Mensa when I was in primary school anyway, so I was quite advanced from a mental perspective, especially around maths. And I always struggled to stay focused because they'd give me something to do and I'd just do it. So for me, I wanted to put something together that is focused on enabling everyone to take part in society, and I think what I'm trying to get at with that is I've got a training business that is part of the agency, so we deliver inbound training, and part of the ethos of that is teach to do. So whether you're dyslexic or whatever problems you have, I fundamentally believe that I might not be able to write up a strategic marketing plan, but if I can present it in a very visual way, we're all getting to the same end point, so you've got to be able to give everyone the same opportunity, and I think that's kind of really core to what I'm doing.
What would you say the best decision that you've ever made is?
To come out of banking. I think I can't say that the skill set that I got from that, the corporate background, all of the training and development, the ability to be part of and lead technology development teams and stuff like that, because that gave me the groundwork for where I am. But also, we're very much involved in finance and fintech and technology from an agency perspective, and that covers the blockchain as well. And so it gave me a grounding, but again, I'm not really great in a process. I'm really good at setting up processes. I'm good at system architecture and things like that, but I need someone else to deliver it.
What do you actually do with blockchain?
So at the moment, we've been doing some mentorship and advisory. So brand positioning, value prop. Is it a viable blockchain solution instead of blockchain for blockchain services? We know that a lot of people will just chuck in blockchain to anything to just get some funding, and I'm glad those days are over. And now we're very much more focused on helping startups develop, and we've actually just invested into our own blockchain exchange, first mobile exchange.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it will be the first blockchain-based exchange. All of the others are not based on the blockchain, so we're building it on Hashgraph, and that's why it will be the first fully transparent exchange.
Oh, fantastic. So tell me, I mean, obviously you've had quite a varied career, and I guess both in the public eye and out. What's your scariest moment to date?
I think, if I'm honest, my scariest moments to date is I recently shot a movie.
Okay.
And it came about because when I was on The Apprentice, one of my friends was doing a movie, and I got involved with it, but just to help him raise some finance. And I said I was involved in it on the back of The Apprentice in the interviews. It was in the press and whatnot, just to give him a bit of a G-up. And then when he was filming the trailer, I said, look, you're filming it in this pub. Can I just be in the background, holding a pint, don't want to talk, but just in the background? He said, no. I said, what do you mean no? I just helped you along here, done this profile thing. He said, no, not really. I just don't think social media people should be in films. I studied, blah, blah, blah. I was like, all right, Mark, not a problem. And then quite by accident, one of my dad's friends called me up and said, look, what are you up to? There's this training for acting course. Do you want to come? It's a one night thing. And I was like, yeah, why not? I just went along. It was like Steve North from London's Burning and that. So proper actors in the room, as well as, people I didn't know. And I just sat there laughing, just thinking the amount of times I would say no to these situations in the past, where now I say yes to everything. Well, near enough anything. And at the end of it, the director says to me, Paul, so how long have you been acting? I said, mate, honestly, I don't act. And he said, well, I'm not saying like you're the best I've ever seen, but with a bit of training, you could probably do something. Anyway, I bought it. He got to my ego, I suppose, and I did this bit of training. And I've ended up doing 2 films, although the 4 that I put myself up for, I got the first one, but I was going on holiday, and the window was you either shoot or you go on holiday. So I went on holiday, otherwise my missus would have killed me. The second film...
we won't film you for an episode about commitment.
And then the second one was, it's called Canvey Island, the film, and apparently I've lost out to a name, so I'd like to see who I lost out to, because that could also G up my ego a little bit, I suppose. And then the last one was Rise and Evil, which I got the lead role in, and I've just done a film that's coming out in April on a big screen.
Oh, fantastic.
So yeah, doing that is a little bit out of, it pulls you out of your comfort zone, because when someone is telling you, yeah, you're a good actor, but you need to buy my course to be a better one, it's a bit like, yeah, course. You're just trying to pitch me something. I think that is the most uncomfortable I've ever been. But then I've managed to spin it back into work and pull it into, I do a lot of public speaking as it is. So just working in an environment where, I've done it on The Apprentice already, but now it's just a little bit more controlled, I suppose. It just helps you become more focused and aware of people when you're on the stage, I suppose. You can just push it in there. It's about having those skills that you can just use in two different places.
So, I mean, are we going to see more of you in that space? Is that something you want to put more time and effort into?
I'm not sure that I'd want to do that. I think that you really do need to be honing those skills on a regular basis, and I don't, but I would probably use the same company I did the training with, because they do a lot of public speaking type training and all of that, so doing a little bit more of that for sure.
So tell me, have you had any mentors along the way? Have you got anyone now that you can tell us about? Anyone's helped in the past?
Have I haven't, and it's not through lack of trying. I kind of went into a space where, like I think a lot of small businesses do, where they try and get these mentors, as they say, but I forgot what the name. Oh gosh, they're like buy a franchise and all of a sudden you're a business advisor. Those type of things, which I've stayed well clear of. And I haven't really found someone that I would look up to in that way. And I'm not saying that I would rule it out, because I 100% wouldn't. You know, being in my space, if there was, you know, a blockchain guru, although I don't think there are any, by the way, but if there was that one person that was the pinnacle, and he said, yeah, Paul, I can work with you, 100%, because anyone that can enable me to become better at what I do, then I'm very much invested in that.
So just going back to The Apprentice, how is Alan Sugar someone that you could see as a mentor? Do you get to spend much time with him in that capacity, or is it all very staged for kind of televiewing purposes?
Alan's probably not someone that I would want to have as a mentor. I'm not saying that I don't think that what he's achieved is great. I feel that the space we're in has gone past where Amstrad and those kind of businesses were, and Alan's now surrounded by a big team of advisors. And I think that where I'm really interested in is finding someone who's a lot more like me, like a Jeff Bezos or someone like that, that's taken something from nothing. And I'm not saying that Sugar hasn't, but obviously their businesses are more relevant to today's
Sure.
world, and I think that someone like that would be far more akin to me.
So tell me, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
The best piece of advice I've ever been given, honestly, would probably be to say yes to everything. And I know that can sound too liberal and too broad, but if you think about it...
I was reading an article last night about Warren Buffett's best advice is say no to everything.
Oh, really? Yeah, and I suppose because he's in that world where it's all financial services, right? And someone's always trying to sell you something. But what I've found is I led a very sheltered life, and although I've got a broad network, it wasn't really going anywhere until I just said to myself, you know what, I am going to say yes to everything. I've been doing a lot of personal development for a number of years. I do a lot of reading and stuff like that, so Audible seems to be the thing that works for me, so I'm always on that. But if you keep saying no, you shut a door, and then you shut another door, and you shut another door, and all of a sudden all you've got is this thing that you believe is the one way to go. But no one who's been successful knows that the one idea that they've got is the one thing that's going to be successful, right? So what might happen, you embark on this journey and you meet people and you learn and so on and so forth. But as you learn, your sphere and spectrum should become broader, not more narrow. Because by saying yes to something, it's not just what you said yes to, it's you become part of a broader network. And I think that's what it is. It's not just say yes to everything willy-nilly and have no plan, but you know, if you can't work out what is like rubbish from what is something that could be substantial, then that's a bit more down to the individual. But for me, you know, I've got a plan of where I want to be, and I planned again for the first 6 months of this year, and it will always be that way. I'm personally developing, I'm broadening my network, you know, and by doing that, I'm seeing more and more success in my career.
So I mean, I was just about to ask you, have you got any future plans you can tell us about? Obviously, you know, I mean, more specifically than, you know, broader networks, etc. But any businesses and any kind of projects on the horizon you can tell us about?
Yeah, so we're doing a lot of work in the blockchain space. Hashgraph being the platform that we're doing a lot of our development on, because it's probably the fastest processing blockchain out there at the moment, and that seems to be what the bottleneck for a lot of them is the amount of transactions they can perform a second. And so Hashgraph is by far the quickest. And we are developing MyOS, which is a blockchain-based cryptocurrency exchange. Actually, I should reverse that. It's not a cryptocurrency exchange, it's a security token exchange. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be operating as much as a FTSE would, but we're just going to be listing the security tokens that business listed. And how we've gone about that is we are working with the Maltese government at the moment, and we're going to nomad into the Maltese cryptocurrency structure. They've got a proper framework out there under the MiFID rules, and we're already in the app stores. So we've got our MVP there. We've got about 30,000 people signed up to use it already. We're just about ready to kick the button off for the blockchain development part of it, and hopefully we'll beat Coinbase to it, who are trying to do theirs by the end of the year. Hopefully we can get ours done in 3 months.
Awesome, fantastic. So I was my space is finance, and I guess you were in that space for a long time before you made the right decision to escape it. But I always ask all my guests, if I was to give you a business loan and make an investment in you, what would it be? But it's got to be in a different sector, or something materially different to what you're up to at the moment.
I think that's really difficult for me to say, because before I got involved with Myos, I was already working on something which is in a different sector but is blockchain based. So it's a fully digitalized recruitment platform that focuses on transparency and honesty in the gig economy, as well as it does in what I call the B2C hiring as well. So it sits across the two networks and brings it in together. So what we wanted is a fully portable employment history, which you can get on the blockchain. If, for example, there's so many people freelancing at the moment, and people are dipping in and out of corporate and freelance. So if someone's been doing, several years of freelance work, graphic designers or whatever, web people, they can put all of their projects on the web, on our platform, if they've worked with a Coca-Cola or, just to keep that transparency and fluidity. And then when they sink in, that's all historically verified.
And can you get all the references? And
all the references would be done. So then you could become instantly hired. You don't need to wait 6 weeks for all the references to come through. It's done. It's verified. It's on the blockchain. Then we was like, well, that's boring, and there's probably someone out there trying to do that. Well, what if we overlaid that with some AI and some intelligent matching, so that I know I'm not going to give away the whole game, but effectively we would leverage LinkedIn and Experian, I think, is the big firm, and we'd only have to pull the data in once, and then once we pulled it in once, we would have a proper verified solid ledger of history, and then we would just undercut everyone to employment to about 8%, which some people are paying around 32 at executive level, so we might go up to 10 or 12% there, but basically by saving everyone a hell of a lot of money.
I'll be your first customer. I've got recruitment fees coming out my ears. I'm a terrible judge of character, and everyone lasts 5 minutes. So
oh well, maybe we're for you.
I'm dreadful at taking references, so I'll be in there. Listen, Paul, it's been great to have you here today.
Thanks.
One more thing to ask you before you leave. I always like to ask everyone how they'd like to be remembered when they're gone. But that's not gone from this room. It's gone from this world. But you have to answer the question in the context of how it will be written on your tombstone.
I'd say something along the lines of thoughtless in giving and generous in education.
Cool. Short and sweet. I like it.
Yeah.
Listen, Paul, thanks a lot for being
here,
mate.
Matt. Thank
you very much.
Cheers.